Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem for some of you releases soon, or heck, maybe it's already out. For the NZ crowd though, we have to wait until September and I'm trying not to think too much about it. In the meantime though, let's review some of those LEGO Ninja Turtles sets. One of my favourite LEGO themes that I think is incredibly underrated. Over the next few weeks, be sure to stick around for my coverage over a plethora of sets from both the cartoon and the movie. This is the Ninja Turtles Baxter Robot Rampage, which released in 2013 and it retired that same year. The set cost $80 in NZ when it launched and I got mine last year for $50. The set overview here is Baxter Stockman and his giant robot mech, as well as two Ninja Turtles and their own special vehicles to combat the mad scientist. So we'll start with those turtle vehicles. Just like the superheroes line, the Ninja Turtles line was full of weird little vehicles and builds that were themed to the turtles. I haven't seen too much of that Nickelodeon show, so I don't know if these ever actually appeared in the series or not. Donatello here seems to bring to the table this makeshift longboard which can store his bow staff and his skateboard. It's cool, but I might personally remove that clamp piece so that he can lay down and instead use it like a luge board. Raphael is piloting a gyrocopter kind of thing that the LEGO set just calls a glider. Compared to Donnie's board, this one actually does have some play features like the flick-fire missiles. He also has some storage areas for his size. The builds are okay, but I think I would have preferred maybe if there was a street build to combat this, or maybe a combined vehicle. The Baxter Stockman mech is quite tall compared to some of the other mechs that I've been looking at recently. It's definitely stockier, but what really makes it shine are the features, which I haven't seen too often in other LEGO mechs. His design is partially accurate to the show's appearance. In most reference images, you'll find that Baxter Stockman is in a different type of a mech suit. This one seems to be an upgraded version, and it feels like it's specifically taken from this end moment here from the 5th episode of the show. There's a window that's visible with his face, and the suit opens up to have this red electronics design. These two distinguishing features are not shown on the other armors in the show, so I have to assume that it's based on this design. He uses those Knight's Kingdom and Bionicle joints for his legs and his feet. His feet are really quite large squared builds, which helps to keep that support of the upper torso. His hips don't feature any movements, but his waist can rotate. You can see him inside there and we get a look at the sticker of the robotics. He has these flaps up top as well that kinda get in the way a little when moving him. His arms feature the same Bionicle connectors that we're used to with some mechs. His forearm and hand are separate items, so they can move all on their own. Now his left hand here has this shooting feature which is of a flick-fire missile design, but it's the really cool kind. You push on this pole at the back here and it shoots out this energy burst thing. There is supposed to be a bigger, clearer dish attached here, but did I mention that I got this for less than retail? It's his other arm that actually features the more intriguing thing to talk about. Same articulation as the left arm, but it's a lot bigger here at the end. This is a grapple claw feature. It features the exact same pole design at the back of this arm. Press on it and the grapple claw goes flying. But what's neat is that you can retract the rope and place the grapple back into its slot. This is cool, but the way to nail this feature was they should have had the rope respond to the pole that fires the claw. Otherwise, it isn't really that all different from, say, the other flick-fire missile that fires out his left hand, because either way, I'm still personally having to pick them up and put them back in their slots. Up top he has some more flick-fire missiles just as an extra precaution. The cockpit opens up from the back where you have this big door that's holding him in. Baxter is just sitting there. This is Raphael, the first of the turtles that we'll be looking at on this channel. Each turtle character was regularly re-released in sets, but most of the time the turtles featured a new facial expression. This won't be the last time that we'll be seeing Raphael. Each turtle featured a slight difference in their looks. Raphael here has some cracks in his shell on his chest details and he has a belt. The turtles all use the same head mold but with different prints from one another, and they all use this really cool shell piece for their backs. Underneath the shell they do have some back printing, but it's just the shell's design in a 2D space. He's the only figure that was not an exclusive in this set. Donatello is my personal favorite Ninja Turtle, and he was the last one that I was able to get my hands on. I have genuinely grown up and gone through a phase where every turtle was a favorite of mine for a period of time. Michelangelo was my favorite for definitely the least amount of time though, so do with that as you will. Donnie came with his skateboard in this set. Each turtle does have their respective skateboard, at least in one set from this wave, and the 4 skateboards can all connect together on the skateboard display that's featured in the turtles lair, but we're not talking about that right now. His key differences from Raphael are his smirk and his clean torso details. He also features shoulder straps, which is a detail that carries over onto his shell. Both he and Leonardo utilize this specific shell piece. Another cool feature of the Turtles that I really appreciate is the different colours of their flesh. My favourite iterations of the Turtles are always the ones that feature different shades of greens. In this version of the show, the boys all feature different shades of greens, though some are a little more obvious than the others. Raphael is clearly different though, so they do give him a darker tone to Donatello, but I think that's it for the changes because the Michelangelo figure seems to use the same shade of green as Donatello, and the Leonardo uses the same body type as Raphael, so it's a little disappointing that there's only 2 different shades. The real selling point for me was getting April O'Neil, and here she is. She has a bright yellow torso and really nice detailing of jeans that are very useful for custom figures. I also really like her hairpiece, which is a common part and colour, but this one has a hair clip that's painted in, which also works wonders on some customs. She features a double-sided expression, which is neat because none of the Turtles can do this. This was the only time to get an April figure from the cartoon series. She would have a live-action adaptation figure released for the movie, but tragically this cartoon April will never be paired with a Casey Jones figure because LEGO ended the line before they could get to him. Baxter Stockman is the man that the set is named after, and he is an interesting figure to say the least. The mad scientist sometimes is helped out by robotics, and sometimes he's transformed into a mutant fly-human hybrid. Baxter Stockman is one of the main antagonists for the Turtles, but on the lower end of things compared to Shredder, so it is a really cool figure to have to build out your collection. We never had a fly version of him released, but at least we have this one, though I do have some inaccuracy complaints. The look mostly actually is accurate, but it's from a minor appearance compared to how often he's depicted in the show otherwise, and it's only an annoyance because the figure actually has those details that I really want, they're just not prioritized. This appearance is from the same episode as the Mech, but it's from the beginning before he uses that giant mech to attack the Turtles. You can see that the helmet is featured and the shoulder pads, which is replicated in the minifigure. LEGO used the Ninjago armor piece here to replicate the shoulder pads. But his pink shirt is a lot more prominent in the design of the cartoon than the LEGO figure. LEGO went with grey arms here because he wears gauntlets that match his armor, and they didn't want to do dual molding on the arms. The pink arms for his shirt make a lot more sense to me personally, so I'm disappointed that the pink was omitted from this figure. When he's actually in the armored mech at the end of the episode, he is seen without all of these extras like his helmet and his suit, because the mech is supposed to be a substitute for this, so I would have much preferred that we had a Baxter Stockman as a civilian minifigure like a Lex Luthor figure, appearing in a suit and without his helmet. He's a little tough to use outside of this set. Double-sided face though, and I do really like both expressions. He's giving me a Richard Pryor look, which I think is really great. The final inclusion of the set is the Mouser droid. Baxter Stockman designs the mouses to do his bidding, so it's only fitting that we had one included. It reminds me of the little penguin builds that you get with a penguin in Batman sets. I like the design of this little doggy who uses that skydiver helmet in grey. I wish there was maybe an interactive feature for the Mouser, like maybe a slot on the mech for it to hang out in, but the inclusion alone is enough to please me. Instructions were included as 2 booklets. There's this really cool green ooze theming inside the books. There's some nice renders of the play features of the set here, and for advertisements we have the full wave of sets and an image of Max from Lego Club. The wave consisted of 6 sets in total, all of which I own, but only 3 of them will be reviewed for now. And on the back is a comic strip that depicts Lego's original storytelling ideas. So this line really was borrowing a lot from the superheroes line. That is my first look at a LEGO Ninja Turtles set, a theme that, as I said, I really love and I don't think it gets nearly the attention that it deserves, which is probably what led to the short lifespan on shelves. The mech is a nice build and I do like the features included, but the main selling point for me is just April O'Neil. I really want to like that Baxter Stockman figure more, but something that I wish the series gave us a bit more of was some MISC type figures, because I would have preferred Baxter if he was wearing his pink shirt over the grey armor and the helmet. But it is a fun set nonetheless. If you enjoyed this retrospective look at a LEGO Ninja Turtles set, subscribing to this channel helps keep you up to date when we review the next set. Ka kite anō, thank you very much.